AITA for refusing to pay the full hotel price difference after my spouse chose an overpriced room? I am 33 years old, and my spouse is 34. Recently, my spouse asked me to book 2 hotels for an upcoming trip, one while we were still at home, and another later, and also to get a phone plan at the airport. Last-minute bookings are normal for us. We have even booked flights and hotels while already on a plane, so this was not unusual. I successfully booked the phone plan and the first hotel. However, I forgot to book the second hotel until the night before we needed it. I admitted this was my mistake. That evening, we were both getting ready to travel and had to finish packing. I did not have time to both pack and search for a hotel, so I asked my spouse to handle the booking and apologized for not doing it sooner. My spouse ended up booking a room for $420 a night. A friend of ours stayed at the exact same hotel 2 months earlier and paid only $160. When I pointed this out, my spouse became upset and said that since the late booking was my fault, I should pay the entire price difference out of my personal money. I agreed it was my error, but I did not think it was fair for me to cover the full difference, especially since there were several cheaper hotels in the same area. My spouse had options but chose the most expensive one. We discussed it further. My spouse said I owed $200 for the mistake. I felt that was too much, since they could have picked a more reasonable option. Then they said, actually, it is $260, but I rounded down to be nice. I suggested we both shared responsibility. I forgot to book, but they chose the pricey hotel. My spouse even admitted they could have selected a cheaper place. I asked to pause the conversation so I could think and revisit it later. When we talked again, I offered to pay $160. My spouse got angry and said they were already covering most of the trip costs, so this should not be a big deal. For context, we each put 75% of our paychecks into a joint account every month. But my spouse earns about 3 times what I do, so their contribution is naturally larger. They said that because they pay more overall, I should not argue about this extra cost. They even suggested we reevaluate my finances if I had a problem with it. I was shocked. I said I thought we were only discussing the hotel mistake, not my entire financial role in the relationship. My spouse called me ungrateful and said they were doing me a favor by lowering the amount to $200. I was basically told to stop complaining and just pay because they contribute more. They added that they are good with money and not trying to take advantage of me, which made me feel worse, because I never accused them of that. I just wanted a fair conversation about one specific decision. I told them I felt misled, as if they never truly wanted to discuss the hotel at all, only to remind me they pay more. They denied this. Exhausted, I agreed to pay the full $260 and even offered to cover half of all future trip costs so nothing would ever be held over my head again. I owned my mistake, apologized, and tried to be fair, but the whole thing turned into a much bigger issue than it needed to be. So, am I the one in the wrong?